Assalamu alaikum. Today we're making Sisin, a sesame seed sweet. Here are the ingredients you'll need. 1 1/8 cup of sugar. 1 cup of sesame seeds. Before you actually start cooking, you're going to go ahead and prepare some items over here. You want to get some nonstick spray and spray a piece of wax paper. You're going to make sure you spray it really well. And you want to get a baking dish, a cookie sheet, something that has a flat bottom on it, and spray that with the spray as well. And I also get a pot holder, a metal spoon, and also a bigger spoon, either wooden or metal. We're going to start by adding the sugar to a pan. The pan is on about medium high. I put it on a 6 on the stove. And you're going to just want to stir this constantly. It's going to all melt up. It takes probably 3 to 5 minutes to melt up. But you just want to stir it constantly. And once it starts melting, it melts pretty quickly. It's been just about 2 minutes now since we started the sugar. And as you can see, it's starting to melt up and kind of clump together. And you just want to continue to stir it constantly. I'm going to let the camera roll so that you can see how quickly it changes. Just continue stirring constantly. Make sure you get it on all sides. The sugar will all stick together, and then once it sticks together, it'll melt down into a liquid. Kind of starts to change colors too. The sugar kind of turns a yellowish color. You don't want to cook it too high because it will burn it, and that's why we stir it constantly so that it doesn't stick to the pan and burn. You want to make sure you have a nice non-stick pan. Starting to melt up pretty nicely now, but we want to make sure it's completely melted and there's no sugar clumps. You can kind of mash them down a little bit with your spoon in between stirring. Kind of turning into a golden brown color. The sugar is extremely hot now. That's why you don't want to use a plastic spoon because it'll melt it right up. We're almost done now. Just a few chunks left, and we just want to make sure they're completely gone. You want to make sure the sesame seeds are handy so that you can add them in. It goes by pretty quickly once we add the sesame seeds in. That's why we prepared everything before we started melting the sugar down. See, all the lumps of sugar are completely done. So now you want to go ahead and add your sesame seeds and stir them quickly. Turn the heat off, take the pan off the heat, and stir it very quickly to coat all the sesame seeds. You want to go ahead now that everything's stirred in, add the sesame seeds right down into the pan. Now they're very sticky, so just get as much as you can out of the pan And take your other spoon here and scrape your spoon off. Move pretty quickly. Take your wax paper, make sure you put the spray side down, and then press it out with your pot holder or towel, whatever you're using. We want this to be pretty thin, so we're just going to push it around the pan. It doesn't have to be a nice shape because we're going to break it into pieces. So just kind of quickly push it down and then peel back your paper. Sometimes you got to use a spoon here because it will stick. And then we're just going to leave this to cool about 30 minutes or so. Now that it's completely cooled, it's very hard. So you want to go ahead, you might have to use a spatula to kind of get underneath it and pop it up if it's stuck. Put it onto a piece of clean wax paper. It's not sprayed, it's just a plain piece of wax paper. And we just want to break it into little bits. So I turn it over, and I cover it here, and I just start hitting it with my rolling pin. You can break it any way you want to break it. This is just the easiest way for me. So you just want to keep breaking it until you get these small pieces like this, and just continue to break the rest of it until it's all broken up. It is now ready to be served.